Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Chris Williams.
Welcome to New Life Live. We are so glad that you are with us today. Obviously, it's myself, Chris Williams, marriage and family therapist, with Dr. Alice Benton, licensed psychologist. How you doing, Alice?
Hi, Chris. Doing great. Things are already interesting. Can't wait to hear from our callers.
Right. We've been starting some good conversations. Yep. And my fellow licensed marriage and family therapist, Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris. Hey, Jacqui Mack. Mm-hmm. What's on your mind today? Teach us.
What is on my mind is disassociation.
Okay.
We had a baby shower for my niece Saturday, and one of my nephews asked me about disassociation, and he said, "Is that a real thing?" And I said, "Well, of course it's a real thing, but why?" And he's watching a show, and apparently a person did something in a disassociated state, and that's their defense. And so we got to talk about the difference of having a dissociative identity disorder, in which people actually split into distinct personalities.
What used to be called multiple personality disorder. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the disassociation that most of us do when we're caught in hard places. And, I'm a recovering emotional avoider, and being an emotional avoider meant lots of disassociation.
And what is disassociation?
It's really the checking out. It's just, it's tapping out. My husband says I can be in a room and not be there better than anybody.
Like your mind takes you somewhere else.
Mine just goes somewhere else. And for me, I would make up stories in my head. And I can remember doing this as a little kid. And always thinking, we had a caller on another show when she was feeling weird for some of her thoughts. And that's how I used to feel. I thought something was wrong with me, that I made up stories in my head, and I would really go to those places.
It's kind of a fantasy place that, yeah.
And then not be present in that present space. And my daughter, who is now 32 and a mom, was sharing with my nephew that she would be telling me stories when she was, junior high school, and my eyes would just glaze over, and halfway through something would pique my interest, and I'd say, wait, and I'd kind of wake up to what she was saying, and she'd have to start over again because I had not been listening, even though I was sitting there looking her straight in her face. But I was so checked out that I was missing things, and what that's left me with is memory gaps. There are a lot of things that we experienced as a family that I don't remember because I zoned out.
Yeah.
And that was what I learned as a child to do, to keep myself safe, to comfort myself, to soothe myself, to get away from the pain or fear or whatever was going on around me. I could leave that just by going into my head.
Yeah. So, and that's oftentimes the response.
Mm-hmm. And I always thought it was great as a wife. If my husband was having a bad day and he was yelling, I'd hit the mute button.
Yeah.
And then I had a teacher say on a paper, her comment was, "Oh, so you disassociate." And that was when I began to look into what it was.
What is this thing that I'm doing?
Because I thought it was the best idea was to just shut them out, because I had been doing it my whole life.
And it can work really well, especially when you physically can't escape from a situation. I think it's a God-given escape route, but it can become problematic in adulthood when we're checking out at the wrong times.
So I've learned to compartmentalize. I can put it in my pocket, tune in for right now, even though it's hard, and I can go back and deal with that thing later.
Well, and the dangers of unresolved fear and pain that leads to dissociation is that I have found that every addiction on planet Earth is a function of dissociation.
And
it puts us in a very vulnerable place.
That pain lives in my body as fibromyalgia.
There it goes. Yeah, undealt with. And we see that so much with autoimmune disease as well. Yeah. And so dissociation helps us survive in a moment, but it will never help us thrive into the future. Exactly. And so moving into getting into the details, getting into the work. So,
finding emotional freedom.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back after this break. Jacqui, thank you so much for that. Such wise, insightful words.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Intensive is Saturday, September 14th. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live again. We're so glad that you're with us. Jacqui, we're talking about this thing that happens inside of us where we escape in our own minds and bodies called disassociation from hard things. But it also leaves us vulnerable to stay stuck in our pain, stuck in our dysfunction, disconnected from reality. So what do
and not really showing up in relationships. You know, you're basically sleeping on the job. And so if you find yourself in that and having that, for me, it was habitual. I could do it so quickly, even while driving. Like it actually got to a dangerous point because it almost became like a self-hypnosis kind of thing.
And we can also just be in this constant state of waiting for our real life to begin and never beginning.
And so Emotional Freedom Workshop is a great place for those of you out there who may be dealing with this, maybe finding yourself disassociating, checking out of your life in order to protect yourself. We would love to be able to give you some new tools and connect you with community in the Emotional Freedom Workshop to get you moving towards thriving in your future.
So your real life can begin.
So your real life can begin.
Emotional Freedom Workshop, September 14th. That's a Saturday. It's online. It's a great way to get out of these stuck places and get into a freer, more engaged, healthier life. You can go to newlife.com/events and you can find out how to register for the Emotional Freedom Workshop. Speaking of emotional freedom, let's go to the phones. We're going to go to Rachel in Utopia, Texas, listening on Sirius XM. Rachel, glad that you're with us today. How can we help you?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just struggling with knowing how to help and support my husband who recently spent 3.5 years innocent in prison.
You said innocent in prison. Well, what tell us a little bit. What led him to prison?
He was falsely accused of aggravated sexual assault. And he just knew that we both did thought that, you know, when we went to court, that God was going to cause the truth to be seen, and they wouldn't let us show any of our evidence of his innocence. And
did you have legal representation? Do you have a lawyer?
We had state-appointed attorneys.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't think we understood the seriousness of it because we knew he was innocent. You know, so we just thought, all we have to do is just go
and tell your truth, right?
Yeah, you know, and that God was going to fight for us. And so we showed up. They kept wanting him to just admit guilt, and we'll just give you probation. Just admit guilt.
So take a plea deal.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I didn't do it. And he's like, I will fight to the end to prove that I didn't do it. And then they threatened him that if he went to trial, they were going to give him 99 years.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I don't care. I'm still going to, fight for my innocence. So he fought. Like I said, they wouldn't even let him speak. He wasn't allowed to open his mouth. So he never even told his side of the story. And the accuser's story changed about 10 times. Anyhow, all that's irrelevant, really. But
so now he's out.
Yeah, he's been out for, it was 2 years in May. But now he's just so hateful and bitter.
Yeah.
And, when we try to talk or, hey, Dave, let's get help or therapy. And he's like, no, nothing's going to change until God clears my name.
He's angry.
Yeah, he's stuck in that place.
Yeah, he's angry. He was punished for something he didn't do and experienced all the traumas of incarceration unfairly and unjustly.
And now he's registered as a sex offender for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you, Rachel, just a question. Have you researched and sought out justice advocacy programs or organizations?
We have. I wrote over 200 letters. Presidents, advocacies, all that. Nobody wants to touch it when it's accused, even what's what I'm trying to say? When it's accusation against a child.
Okay.
So even though we have testimony that the story changed so much, we have it on video, all that kind of stuff, nobody wanted to touch it. They're like, no way.
And Rachel, as he is so bitter today, and completely understandably so, is he mistreating you or lashing out at you in his anger?
I'm the enemy. I'm like, he's like, well, you didn't do enough. You didn't fight hard enough, or I wouldn't have, and it's like, I wrote him a letter every single day he was there. I supported him financially. I drove every time there was visit.
Rachel, you did everything you could. You went above and beyond, as you would for your husband, knowing his innocence and loving him. As he's lashing out at you, is it verbal lashing out? Is he getting physically aggressive with you or threatening to?
Not physically at all. It's just because a lot of what he says is just totally negative, and I'm like, don't speak that kind of fruit in our lives. We're going to overcome. Speak God's word. Speak. And then his response will be, oh, you never take my side.
So, Rachel, Rachel.
So that's how it,
he can't hear that. When he shares something that sounds to you very negative, what he's asking for is for you to just be there and be present and be a listening ear. You want to make it better. And it sounds like he expected you to make some things better that you couldn't. You're not going to be able to fix this. And you, what you're sharing and the, speak life and those kinds of things, that stuff's not true to him anymore if he feels like God failed him and didn't show up. So right now you can just be safety for him. You can be a container when he's sharing. Is he directing any of that negativity towards you or about you, or is it life in general and the situation?
Some of it's towards me and about me, but not always. It just depends upon the moment and what's going on. I just feel like I'm constantly in a pool of vomit. That's what I feel like.
So let me jump in and clarify this. So, Rachel, when there are painful things happening to us, trauma, not that we did, that happened to us, and each of it has its own unique nature to it, right? And this one is very unique and horrible. And we are not responsible for what happens to us. But there is a little bit of this unfair reality, but it is reality, and it's a certainty. We are responsible for what we do with what has happened to us. Right? And so
I agree.
Your husband needs help, and you can't help him, but you're living with the consequences.
Exactly.
Okay, you're going to need to have now boundaries, and you're going to need to assert what you need.
I tried that. I don't know how to do it.
Well, you're gonna make it clear, husband. Okay. You need to get into some therapy to start working through this.
And you also, Rachel, need to be working on what this was like for you. This sounds like it was certainly a traumatic experience for him, but it's also an ongoing trauma for you. And I'm curious, are you doing any work? Are you in therapy, or are you involved in any groups?
I am. I have a trauma therapist who actually is a family friend that went through a lot of this with us, so she experienced a lot of the pain with us. The problem I've had with setting boundaries, because like now I'm just done.
Yeah.
And so he's like, that's fine. Let you sell the house and you go. Everybody else has left me anyway, and God doesn't care. So, that's his comeback. It's not.
Yeah, but Rachel, that's manipulation, right? So I just want to, like, whatever he's saying, he's stuck in, like, he has been victimized. And oftentimes what happens in these horrible situations where we feel stuck and no way out, we adopt what I refer to as a victim state. We become over-identified with that victimhood, and it clouds everything that we see. And it becomes actually this really, really ironic safety blanket. It absolves us from responsibility. But healing and health and growth requires requires us to take action and do something.
Rachel, do you know that your husband's story is part of Joseph's story from the Bible?
That's exactly what we stood on the whole time he was incarcerated. And it was interesting because he was so on fire for the Lord while he was incarcerated. He spent 8 to 12 hours a day reading God's Word and researching and all that.
So you see the parallel, but now he is so embittered by what he's been through that he's kind of lost some of that spiritual drive. So I want to give you some suggestions of how to try to put into practice what we're recommending to you. And I know you've tried some of this already. I think you invited him to counseling, and he refuses to go until God clears his name. So what I want you to try is implementing some of the principles from How We Love, by listening to him in a different way, but with protection. And by that I mean, husband, I want to hear you because you're so hurt, and rightly so. I want to hear you, and I can listen when you'll speak softly to me, when you'll speak gently with me. And I think we should try out this listening structure of the comfort circle from this book, How We Love, because I know you want to wait till God clears your name, but I think we can access more of God's help and his grace if we can become better listeners to each other. But Rachel, if he continues to mistreat you with his words, then it's time to start creating space from that mistreatment. And I don't know that it's time for divorce. I know you said you're done, but it sounds like your vows, your spirituality also are holding you in marriage because he's been innocent of some of those biblical outs to divorce. And so, husband, if you are too intense with me, which you are sometimes, I'll need to back away. And I'll have to keep backing away if it continues. So I ask you again to come for counseling with me. If you won't, then I've got to strategize with my counselor what to do with your intensity. And I'd rather we work on that together. I want you to attempt this stronger stance, Rachel, to see if you can get some footing. And if you can't, if he refuses, then that biblical response is then we take space. We take more and more space to protect our hearts, because sometimes losing a relationship to some extent motivates a person like your husband to come out of his bitter, angry hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I love him dearly, and I'm not looking to get out of the relationship, but we cannot continue the way it is.
Yes, and that's that clarity. The clarity is, I love you, I don't love this state of being. And
it's so toxic.
Yes, and we've got to get rid of the toxicity. And that's going to require action and work, as Alice was saying. He's going to need to go to therapy. He's going to need to work on this. He's going to need to address this. And there's just a couple of things that I was thinking of in this, Rachel. And that is, throughout history, going all the way back to what was referred to as Joseph, but even in more recent history, we have incidences of people being falsely imprisoned. Mm-hmm. We have the Nelson Mandelas. We have these other types of circumstances and situations. And we're not trying to all be heroes in the midst of this. But one of the things that can be very, very helpful is when we're in this impossible situation is to read stories, expose ourselves, and put ourselves in the way of other stories who are in similar impossible situations and see how they got out of it. And I'll give you a clue on how most people got out of these situations or got through them. They found purpose. They found purpose.
He's still incarcerated in his mind. I agree, Chris.
Yeah.
Finding purpose.
Yeah. He needs to
On the
kind of get
outside.
out. And you're right, Jacqui.
His purpose had been to prove himself innocent.
Yeah. We're going to send you a copy of Forgiving What You'll Never Forget by Dr. David Stoop, as well as How We Love. And I think both of those resources are going to help you and your husband quite a bit. But look for the purpose beyond the pain, and that can be a pathway forward and out. Rachel, thank you so much for calling in. We'll be back right after this.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hid with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. You know, I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you are with us today, and we are going to jump right back into the lines, and we're going to talk to Cindy, listening in Louisville, Kentucky on YouTube. Cindy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you all for all that you all do, and may the Lord bless you all.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we're very glad to have you on today. Can you tell us what is happening with you and how we can help?
Yeah, I was writing down different things y'all were saying. I'm stuck waiting for real life, and it never begins. And then my husband needs help, and I can't help him. And he won't get help.
What does he need help with?
Alcohol and marijuana.
How long have you guys been married?
40 years.
40 years, wow. And Cindy, how long has this been a problem in your marriage?
I would say most of it.
Most of it? Yeah.
Is he aware that it's a problem? Like, would he say he has a problem with alcohol and marijuana use?
Oh, no, he definitely does not. It's my problem, and it's because of my dad, how I grew up, that, it's my problem.
Yeah.
So did you grow up with an alcoholic father?
Oh, yeah.
And so he believes that you're just overreacting to his drug and
definitely.
alcohol uses.
Is he a high-functioning user? Does he maintain a job? Does he?
Yeah. He said he goes to work every day, and he works, he says.
What's your relationship with him like?
Bitterness and resentment.
Is the bitterness and resentment all around this alcohol and marijuana use for 40 years?
I think so. Yeah.
Are you the one that's bitter and resentful?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cindy, let me ask you a question. What does a typical day in your husband's life look like?
He works, he comes home, he might say something, he may not, maybe 10 words all night, maybe not, and then he'll drink, and then...
And what does he drink?
Mostly shots and then beer.
So, like, shots of whiskey, shots of...
Yeah, whiskey.
Whiskey, okay. And then beer.
Yeah.
And this is a daily routine?
Yes, but he says it's not every day.
Okay.
But it is.
But it is every day. Well, that's a good alcoholic,
What's a day in your life look like? What are you doing?
I retired to watch my grandchildren, and he says, that I don't work, that he works, and then, I don't do anything.
But that's okay. Tell me, though, what does your day look like? Like, he goes to work and comes home and drinks and maybe says 10 words and goes to sleep. What are you doing?
Nothing.
So you get up in the morning and you just sit there and...
I watch the kids from 7 to 6 if I have them.
That's not nothing.
That's not nothing.
I'm sad you call that nothing. That's a hard working
I am too.
job.
That's why I pushed back. I'm like, no. So you are doing something. So, and I don't mean the question to challenge your staying at home with the grandkids. I want to know, when he comes in the door, do you say anything to him? He has 10 words for you. What's your welcome? What is it like for you after the kids go home?
Well, I start walking on eggshells, and I try to, get the kids to come around him, and the little ones, and just talk to him and that, and then we usually go, try to stay out of his way.
And I think most of the time, most of these days, you're feeling pretty sad, pretty scared, and like you have no power to change any of this. Is that right?
Yeah.
If he didn't have the drinks, what would you expect your time with him in the evening to be like?
We might sit and watch TV, but really there's no conversation. And I tried to ask him, I say, I just want conversation.
Yeah. So Cindy, let me jump in. Everything that you're telling me right now, tells us that you are living deep in an addictive system.
Yes. I do.
Right? Walking on eggshells, disconnected. Yeah. And one of the telltale signs, this is for all of us out there, one of the telltale signs that you are living with an addict or you are living around addiction is you have the addicted person under-functioning and everyone else over-functioning. You're trying to even manage a relationship with the grandchildren with him.
And the children.
And the children, right? So as long as you over-function for him, you keep him drinking. And you're not responsible for that. I just want to say it keeps it all going.
It protects his drinking.
Yeah.
That I'm making him, I'm making him look like the jerk, making him look bad.
Yeah. So that's all all the defense mechanisms. There's denial. No, it's not a problem. There's minimization. It's not that big of a deal. There's justification. I work hard. And there's projection. You're the problem, not me. So all of the telltale signs of addiction are right there. So before we head into the break here, I want to give this clarity to you. You are not relating to a person. You are relating to an addiction. And an addiction that you are powerless against. He is too, but you are powerless against. So all of the management you're trying to do around it is not working.
No, it's not.
And therefore, you said it well, repeating our words, you're sitting around waiting for your real life to begin.
Yeah, and I met in my life.
So when we come back from the break, we're going to give you some steps on how to begin your real life. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us today, and we do what we do because you make it possible. All of you out there that are Club New Life members or financial contributors, we can't do this work helping people find hope and healing in life's hardest places without you. One of the things that I want to point out too is that if you are able to give a donation and really help us stay on the radio, help us with our workshops, help us do what we do here, it would be greatly appreciated. We will also send you a copy of Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. That's also just a book. If you just need it, Dr. Alice is right here. Right? We've talked a lot about it. It gives you such clear and good guidance on how to navigate parenting in really some surprising ways. I was surprised, but I was like, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. But join them with wisdom and all of these different things. I can't promote this enough. Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. You can go to our store online at newlife.com to order that book, and I can't encourage you enough. Right now, we want to encourage Cindy. Say that, hey, she's waiting for her real life to begin because it's been hijacked by her husband's alcoholism and marijuana use. Addiction has hijacked it. She can't live her real life. So, guys, how do we get her into her real life?
Well, Cindy, I can just sense that mantle of fear that you live under, and it's a scary situation you are in. So you're right to be so concerned about what your husband is doing and is not doing. And we want to get you empowered. We want to reconnect you with courage and with assertiveness. You may never have had or felt those things growing up with an alcoholic parent. So there was a setup here already in your life. But Cindy, getting into your own counseling, having a medical evaluation for your anxiety to find out if medication would be a help to you, and then getting into the rooms of Al-Anon, because there you will learn that there are a lot of things the family members of an addict can do to keep themselves safe and protected, and to invite their addicted family member into help as well. Now, he's already said no, he's not interested, but it just leaves a whole world of action steps that you can take, Cindy, to take better care of yourself.
Yes, Cindy, I think you're wanting him to stop doing something that he thinks he needs to survive. And so you're not going to win. You're just not. No. So stop that fight and turn
I've
that.
Always been, I'm trying to always
I said I was going to change him when we got married.
Yeah, that's a clear symptom of an adult child of an alcoholic. So
you're not alone in that.
Yeah, you're not
belief.
alone.
A lot
I
of us
get it.
do
I
that.
get it. Yeah.
But you're not. You haven't. In 40 years, you've seen that you haven't changed them. Now, it's not to say people can't change. People do. We get married and we evolve. We become different people. You have to do that work for yourself. It's time for you to evolve, become the person you want to be, live the life you want to live. And so take your eyes off of him and kind of think about the plank in your eye versus the speck in his eye. I know that speck looks like a plank, but it's not yours to manage, as you've seen over the 40 years. Yours is your speck. And if you turn that energy on yourself, you will begin to live the life you want to live, and you'll have to maybe leave him behind.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want me to get the help.
Yes,
he doesn't.
no,
He's gonna
because
keep gaslighting you.
if you get help, his covers are pulled. The addiction's in trouble.
But you get help without it having to be anything about him.
Yeah.
Your help is not about him. And if he tries to make it about him, you can say, I offered you help. I wanted to do work with you. This is about me.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. So please.
It's hard to step back because I don't know what he's going to do.
Well,
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Are you afraid he's going to harm you?
No, I don't think so.
If you're worried about him leaving or over drinking or doing any other strange thing to or about himself, there's nothing you can do about it anyway.
Well, and
I'm almost like him to be gone better.
For sure. And so, Cindy, that's the first move. Get into Al-Anon. These are people who are in a similar situation for you that are finding solutions. And we're going to send you a life recovery Bible that helps you get into your work as well as take your life back. I'm going to send you 2 resources. And Cindy, today's your lucky day because I'm going to send you a 3rd resource. Your life and your situation right now is set up perfectly for the help that we offer at the Life Recovery Conference. Now, we want you to start your work right now, but we want you to block out October 5th. We're going to host a Life Recovery Conference where we're going to be addressing addiction. We're going to be addressing codependency and enabling all of the things that you're going through. And so we're going to give you a registration to the Life Recovery Conference on October 5th. And again, we need lots and lots of resources because you've lived in this situation for a long time. It may take a little bit to live outside of it and to live beyond it. And as we said, getting your life to begin in front of you. And so, Cindy, thank you so, so much for calling in. And we're going to surround you, support you, and encourage you on that. It's not, and this is a reminder for all of us, it's not just the addict whose life is hijacked to the addiction. It's everyone's who's connected to the addict whose life gets hijacked by the addiction.
And you at that point, you want so desperately for them to get better so you can have your life back. And in actuality, you have to release them to their own situation and you take your life back.
And that's why I tell families, and myself included, may not be fair, but we all need recovery now. We all have to get into our work. Yeah. So let's get back into some more work. We're going to go to Brandon in North Bend, Oregon, listening on Sirius XM. Brandon, so glad that you're with us today. Talk to us. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of questions, and if we have time, we'll do the first one first. I'm kind of struggling with an appropriate response to a problem that happened on Sunday where I was concerned about my daughter not having a spare tire in her car. We got her a new car a while back and just wanting to make sure if she's broke down that, she's got a way, she's not stranded on the side of the road. So I went to her car and was, checking, making sure all the different stuff's there and so forth. And I had to take some stuff out of the back of her car. It's a little hatchback in order to do that, but was going to put it back. And she came out and felt very violated that I'm, in her car and I didn't ask her permission to get in her car. And, that kind of escalated the argument. I'm like, she was very upset with me, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry.
Brandon, how old is your daughter?
She's 21, and I think she's. The other thing is that she makes it very difficult. Where I think she's fairly high functioning on the autism spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. She's never been diagnosed, but she can be very volatile.
Mm-hmm.
And for that matter, I don't know. Maybe I have autism. I know I have ADD, and I suspect she does also. But anyway,
did you ever have the thought, Brandon, to ask her if she had a spare tire in her car?
I did, yes, and she said she didn't know and didn't think so, and I was able to confirm actually that she did.
Huh. And what was the worst part of the volatility and argument that broke out?
Well, so she got into telling me basically reading me the riot act, and I said, look, we pay for most of the expenses associated with your car. It is your car, although we're also on the title for that matter. And I was talking to her about that, trying to get her to understand that, look, we provide for a lot of your needs, so, don't be so harsh about this. And her response to me was to call me about the worst thing that you could call a father in terms of respect. And it's the kind of thing where if I would have called my father that, I'd been picking my teeth up off the floor.
Yeah. So Brandon, let me jump in though. Like you're in this deep, hurtful conflict with your daughter over this situation. How can we help you? What's the question for us?
Well, so I went in the house and I told my wife, which my daughter had said, my daughter's kind of famous for this too. She'll throw a hand grenade in the room, it goes off, and everybody's wounded, and then 20 minutes later she's fine, and everybody else is still wounded. And so I'm just trying to figure out what's the appropriate response, because I feel like there should be a response. I mean, at the moment, I felt like pack your things up and get out of the house. You're done.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that because I thought in the heat of the moment it's probably not wise.
Yeah.
And I thought somebody with more wisdom like you guys would be able to help.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Brandon. Yeah, you hear the music. So we're going to head to a break here, but we're going to come back and we're going to do our best to share that wisdom with you and really support you as the loving father that you are and support the relationship you have with your daughter. Brandon, thank you for calling. We're going to come back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career or possibly strengthening your relationships or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been screened and certified with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps towards your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us today. And we're talking with Brandon. Brandon is in this really, really tough situation with his daughter where he was just trying to be helpful, but maybe a little of that ADD got in the way. He got impulsive in his helpfulness, where his daughter felt violated because he was in her car checking for a spare tire and going, required her to go through some of her stuff, and she just really, really exploded on him. And I just want to point out something. It's a saying. Dr. Sherry Keffer says it a lot, and if it is hysterical, it is historical. So we assume that this is a pattern of reaction and reactivity and behavior that's been going on in your relationship with your daughter for quite a while. Would that be accurate, Brandon?
It would.
Okay, good. So Jacqui, where do we?
Although this was a new high.
Yeah, she
she probably hit a tipping point that day too, and there's no telling what had gone on all around that. But you mentioned having ADHD and possibly being on the spectrum in her as well, and so I could see you all having some communication misses in that, and also difficulty in regulating your own emotions, but the impulsivity of going outside and going into her car and taking a look without saying, hey, can I have your keys? I want to check and make sure you have a spare, since you didn't know. That impulsivity led her to feel disrespected, and then of course she brought disrespect to you. And so I'm going to start with that first piece of, as the parent, being mindful of our children still being human beings. And if somebody went in my car without my permission, I would have an instant reaction to that, period. My mother, my father, whoever it is. And so it's my thing. You went into it, and that feels like a violation. But then as parent also, how are we regulating our emotions, and how have we regulated in engagements with our child throughout their life? And it seems like this has been an ongoing thing. And so now that she is an adult, it's probably going to get even heavier. The only thing you can do is be mindful of how you show up in those conversations, in terms of holding boundaries of respect for her and from her.
And all of that is to help us understand why this is going on. Why is she erupting and throwing hand grenades? Because there's something under the anger. But it doesn't justify the way she treated you. You're just trying to help her. You're trying to protect her out on the road. And it doesn't excuse the name that she called you. So there is an inexcusable display of anger, but there's also something else underneath it. And with the comment you made about your dad, we wondered, you probably grew up with some frightening anger from your dad. Sometimes he was trying to discipline you, but he went too far, I would guess. And so my hope, Brandon, for you is that you'll go a humble route first. Hey, daughter, it obviously upset you that I unpacked your car to check for that spare without your permission. I want to hear, how did that impact you? And I'm just going to be a listener to you. But at another point, you might also acknowledge our family has some extreme reactions, don't we? I have some extreme thoughts sometimes when I'm upset. I think we need some help to start doing this better. And Brandon, that help can begin with reading How We Love and starting to apply those principles, because these conversations I'm suggesting to you, they're really just forms of the comfort circle, which is a safe, structured guardrail conversation to draw out what's underneath the anger, which is maybe your daughter's scared, maybe she's overwhelmed, maybe she's feeling vulnerable. Doesn't excuse how she acts out the anger, but it will help to understand and start to resolve the anger that gets thrown into the rooms of your house.
And you mentioned that this was bigger, and so it could be that she's been stacking dynamite. Little things happen here and there and here and there, and then this was the hand grenade over the wall moment. And so you as you're listening in this comfort circle that Dr. Alice was talking about, you may hear some things that are hard. So in the comfort circle, as the listener, you have to hold those things. I think what happens sometimes as parents is we cut them off, we interrupt, we're correcting while they're trying to share, and the goal really is to listen to understood. The conversation is less about you being heard and understood in that moment than it is about her being heard and understood, so that you can really get an understanding of how she views the relationship with you.
And I think, but I want to add in something here as well. Like, these conversations have to be done in a respectful manner.
Yes.
What she said to you, Brandon, is not okay. And it hurt. And I think she needs to know that. She needs to know that it is not okay to use those words towards you. And not in an angry or mean or vindictive way, but but with a firmness. Daughter, when you said this to me, that really cut deep. That hurt me tremendously. And I'm still dealing with that hurt. And I need you to know that. I also need you to know that you may have some boundaries with me, and I want to hear what those are, but I'm going to need to have some boundaries with you. That if those words are said, then I need to remove myself from the situation. The boundaries protect that which is most valuable. Your heart, her heart, and this sacred relationship of father-daughter. And so there's a lot of boundary work that needs to be done in this relationship. And that's why I'd really encourage you guys to get into some therapeutic work. You and your daughter need some couples counseling right now. And so, to as Jacqui said, as the dynamite has been stacked, we need to resolve what's going on underneath that. You know, as we're learning these skills, as Dr. Alice said, about how to communicate with each other in a safe and loving way, but truthful way, we're probably going to need some help with that.
And I think how we love is going to go a long way to helping you understand yourself, understand your wife, understand your daughter, and maybe also understand your own parents and how you got to parenting the way that you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. As far as the counseling goes, yeah, we've tried that as a family younger in life because, like I've indicated, that this has kind of been a long-term problem.
Yeah.
And we basically made her go, and had, I don't know, the first experience was okay, but we didn't feel like we were making progress, and then we ended with somebody a counselor who actually attacked her. And then that pretty much
that shut it down. Yeah.
And so her willingness to go to counseling is very limited.
Well, I want you to express to her that you really, really desire a good, strong relationship with her, and that you also are struggling to find that, and you need her help with that. Because whatever she struggles with, I guarantee you, Brandon, inside of her, she really, really wants a strong relationship with you, but doesn't know how to do it. And so maybe trying a different way, saying, hey, let's get a coach or, some other help. But let's start with how we love and let's move from there. Because we're going to send you a copy of that, Brandon. And we're really going to and check out our resources, and maybe she can attend. Again, we talked about before, an emotional freedom workshop. There might be something going on underneath her. So thank you so much, Brandon, for calling in, and we appreciate your love for your daughter, your work with her. And I just want you to know that tomorrow is our last online Every Man's Battle of the year. And this is our lowest barrier of entry. It's a lower cost, it's one day, it's online, you don't have to travel. Men, if you're out there and you are struggling with sexual behavior that violates your values, violates your relationships, is damaging to you and your relationship with the people around you and your relationship with God, do not waste time. It only takes a few moments. Sign up for Every Man's Battle today. You can go on newlife.com/EMB and get that taken care of and begin a new life and a new journey immediately. Thank you all for being with us. Be well. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.